Are they gonna see my?
What's going on, guys? Welcome in to Rover Sport.
Can you guys hear me or no?
A little bit.
Vaguely. Let's just do it, I guess.
Wait, let's try to get the media files in there, okay? Okay? I'm going to put Bryce Petty highlights for us in honor of Bryce. That looks pretty sick. All right, the YouTubers are going to see Bryce. Here we go. Oh, man, I disappeared, I think. All right, there it is.
No, Bryce disappeared.
What's up, Shanko? How's your day going?
I'm exhausted, man.
Was it tough today at work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this recording, bro?
Yeah.
Talking about his.
Can you guys hear me or no?
It's an elite live stream.
Every week we kind of have been pushing you on this issue of why not play Bryce Petty. And then yesterday you said, now the time is right.
Oh, man.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. Let's talk a little football. We got 3 viewers in here.
Now the time is right. Oh, man. You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. Let's talk a little football. We got 3 viewers
cool, man.
in here. There's so much lag. I mean, the other one is a lot better, but we actually have 4 viewers right now. It's freaking insane.
Maybe we should get this
We
live
gotta
stream
get the
on
bugs
the
out of this one.
So we got a lot of Thanksgiving football coming up, and we have Detroit and the Vikings. Are you guys excited about that football game? So we got a lot of Thanksgiving football coming up, and we have Detroit and the Vikings. Are you guys excited about that football game?
You want to take this in?
So we got a lot of Thanksgiving football.
Should I start?
I don't even think Ian knows that we're live.
The problem is
Start talking.
well, I think the biggest storyline is keep his job come playoff time, you know? I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is chomping at the bit, getting ready, wants to be in there, wants to play.
Right.
And he is the franchise quarterback, so when is Teddy Bridgewater going to get his chance? But Case Keenum came out of nowhere and is playing at a very high level. Meanwhile, Detroit is trying to stay in playoff contention. So I feel like it's a pretty good game to get things started Thanksgiving Day. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
When is Teddy Bridgewater going to get his chance?
For the game.
Keenum came out of nowhere.
Neither can I. It's all good, man.
At a very high level. Meanwhile, Detroit is trying to stay in the playoff contention. So I feel like it's a pretty good game to.
I feel like these
guys
4
hear me?
viewers are loving life right now.
Oh my god. This is like the most like weirdest podcast I've ever done, guys. I'm sorry. This needs to become a lot. This is not.
There's only one way to
Become a
go.
lot cleaner than it is.
There's only one way to go from here.
Up.
Oh.
And there he goes.
Can you start talking about the Cowboys Chargers, please, Matt?
Well,
That's how you do a podcast. That's how you do a podcast.
yeah, me too.
So left.
I think it's the perfect time to plan.
You guys should just listen to our podcast yesterday. We really talked about a lot of good topics, but
Yesterday
yeah,
was pretty legit.
I think the Cowboys Chargers game. I think it's gonna be a good game this week. I mean, Cowboys obviously need the game really badly. That Zeke's not even playing. Chargers are definitely playing much better than they used to. They started 0-4 this year, and now they're really just rallying the troops to really just trying to see if they can actually make a playoff spot this year for Phillip Rivers. And I just feel that the way the Cowboys are going, they're 5-5, and they need to make a run now. I know they have a lot of injuries, especially with and suspensions as well, a la Tyron Smith and no Ezekiel Elliott and their offensive line is banged up as well. You have still have Sean Lee that's hurt on the defensive side, big linebacking core for them. So yeah, I definitely do see this as a must-win game for Dallas to stay in the NFC playoff hunt, and I'm really excited for the game.
So Matt, as I really look at the game tomorrow between between Dallas and the the LA Chargers, you believe that the Chargers can make a playoff run. I mean, I've been a little bit underwhelmed with their team thus far with Anthony Lynn and the coaching staff. I mean, do you think Phillip Rivers has it in him to kind of make these playoffs and make a little run here?
That's a fair argument. I think Phillip Rivers has what it takes to really, take it to the next step. He just hasn't had the supporting cast, in his career. Same thing with Dan Marino. Same with a lot of great quarterbacks in our great, National Football League that we have today. And basically, when you look at this team, San Diego, they're finally figuring it out. They're playing well on defense as well. They're, Phillip Rivers and their offense is, finally clicking on all cylinders. They scored like over 50 points this past week, against that Bills defense who is, still respectable under Sean McDermott. They've definitely played much better this year with that. And I'm really excited to see where the San Diego team can go moving forward.
Hey guys, just on Periscope, I know my microphone, it gives me echoes, and that's why it's really tough. But for all you guys on Periscope, please ask us a question. We're here with Matt Shenko, and we want you guys to ask us a couple of questions here before we kind of jet out with the live stream. But Andrew, you've watched this Philadelphia 76ers team, and just talk about what you think of the Sixers thus far this season.
Well, honestly, I think they've definitely exceeded expectations thus far. I mean, first couple games were pretty bumpy, and rightfully so, but I feel like the fact that they have gotten things going and turned it around so early on in the season is truly amazing, and I think it speaks to Brett Brown's coaching of this very young, untested squad, and it's really been amazing to see how Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid have gelled together so well thus far. And it's not just these guys. I mean, these guys are obviously going to be the ones that are going to receive the most attention, but my man Robert Covington, has honestly played at a very high, some might say all-star level. JJ Redick has shot the ball extremely well, and the Sixers have had a very high three-point percentage, have been playing defense very strongly, and they're beating the teams they should be beating. They're winning the games they should win, and they're testing these very successful high-level teams as well, and starting to pull out some close games, as we saw against Houston, against the Jazz. So I just look forward to seeing this team and how they continue throughout the season. I mean, already at 9 wins, 2 games over 500, and I think the future continues to look bright, and it's going to be only going up from here. So
appreciated the answer. We're just trying again to work out new tech. I'm going to respond now to some questions here, and I think that this is a more adequate way to do it without my headphones. Norman Vasquez says, Andrew, and this for Andrew and Shenko, you guys can chime in at any time. What do you guys think of Jimmy G starting against Seattle? I didn't even know that was news. I think that again, Andrew, like, it's not CJ Beathard's fault. There's going to be tons of pressure on Jimmy to step up. You kind of have to see what he has now. It is very unfair to CJ, but CJ's going to get all next training camp, and you kind of have to see what the young guy can do. So that's kind of a very interesting move there, Shenko, starting CJ Beathard or starting Jimmy G against Seattle.
I think the Niners, he's learned so much under Tom Brady. And just really, it's exciting to see. And I just love Jimmy G as a prospect. He's got a great arm. He has all the physical tools to be a very special quarterback. I know, especially under the right coaching. I mean, look at for example, you got Jared Goff. He was his first year he wasn't ready to play, and then they ousted Jeff Fisher, and they got a whole new coaching staff. for Jared Goff, and then boom, Jared Goff's definitely playing at a much higher level than he did his first year. And I think with Jimmy G learning under Tom Brady, I see in that similar effect for him. So hopefully Kyle Shanahan and those boys can really elevate Jimmy G's game to a whole new level. And I'm really excited for him to make that next step.
Yeah. Well, thanks Norman Vasquez for breaking the news to us, because we just didn't realize this until now.
That's how you're a sports reporter. That's why you get paid the big bucks, for being really uninformed and having you guys come in on the live stream. The Sports Fury's in. They've just reached 5.5 thousand subscribers, and I really want to thank them. You guys have been tremendous. Jabari Owens has really been a star of this live stream. What do you think the Lakers are going to do next year, or what do you think the Lakers are going to need to do to free up free agency? I think that's a pretty interesting question. I like what the Lakers are doing, Andrew. What do you think about the nucleus of the Lakers? Are you worried about Lonzo Ball?
Well, I feel like it's very early in the season, and I mean, Alonzo Osley hasn't played at a very high level so far, but you still see, you see the triple-double. He had 2 triple-doubles so far, and a double.
Lonzo Ball?
Yeah.
He has, but he's really struggling to shoot the basketball, man. He just looks so awkward out there, doesn't he?
But, I mean, I think the thing is that Luke Walton is willing to stick with this guy. Like, this team he recognizes is very young, and Lonzo Ball is going to get his opportunities. I mean, he was drafted high. They want to see what this guy has in store for the team, and they believe that he is the future. So, yes, he struggled to find his shot, also on defense as well. But I think I really do like what the Lakers are doing right now. I mean, I think Brandon Ingram is really taking that next step. He looked good against the Sixers the other night. They have Julius Randle there, Brook Lopez to anchor in the center. And I think Kyle Kuzma, honestly, he looks like one of the top rookies out of the class. Been superior to Lonzo Ball thus far, so I think they have a lot of talent there. I mean, Clarkson coming off the bench, he's a talented scorer. Caldwell Pope as well.
Yes.
And then as far as free agency goes, I mean, I think it's a destination people want to go play at, especially with that young nucleus. Who they might attract in free agency. I mean, obviously LeBron is one name you gotta consider, a place that would draw him a lot of buzz, and to bring that city back to a high caliber level would be really amazing.
Wait, I want to get Shanko's thoughts on something, actually.
Okay.
So, Matt, the New York Knicks are actually doing pretty well this season. What do you think about these Knicks so far, Matt, and this winning streak?
I really am excited for this Knicks franchise because obviously when you have...
What's going on, guys? Thank you. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say about the Knicks, they're finally turning the page on the Carmelo Anthony era. They're finally, making strides. They're finally developing Kristaps into the premier scorer that he really truly is. They finally took off the training wheels off of Kristaps for him to take over the keys of the city, of Madison Square Garden. He is the go-to guy. And I really do like the development of players that are around him. You have Frank the Tank into, a very nice player in this league. I know he's very young. Obviously Dennis Smith Jr. should have been the pick, but I still think Frank has a lot of potential. He's young. He's out of France. He has a lot of great upside that not a lot of people know about him yet. So stay tuned for him. I still like Courtney Lee coming off, as a three-point specialist to really help out, Kristaps as well, coming off of pick and rolls and whatnot and what have you. And I could just go on and on about this team right now. They're finally, figuring it out, with this whole triangle offense. Everybody's trying to pick it up the pace now, and everybody is playing a lot more freely as well. Because when Carmelo was there, everybody was just like, oh, let's just stand around and see what Carmelo can do. And it really wasn't a full basketball team, if that makes any sense, because that was something that he needed to go. so the other Knicks players can start to develop. And I think they're definitely on the better path right now, and I'm excited for their future.
Yeah. And a couple thoughts I have real quickly, not being a Knicks fan myself, but I think honestly moving past Carmelo Anthony and somebody who clearly had served his time in New York, he was ready to move on. I think it was good for the Knicks to move on from him, to get rid of Phil Jackson. And obviously the expectations weren't high, but I think sometimes that ends up benefiting a team who has nothing to lose and everything to gain. I mean, it was going to be Porzingis, and who knew who else was going to step up? And without Melo, nobody thought that they would be contending whatsoever. But I think one of the most underrated moves in the offseason was bringing back Hardaway Jr., who's been a very quality complement to Porzingis, as well as Enes Kanter, working both those guys, those big men inside, and Kanter has played especially well during the early season thus far. So I think the Knicks have done a solid job moving on from their GM, from their star for so many years, and now giving the reins to Porzingis, who has taken it and ran thus far. So
yeah, I think sometimes too, like you look at superstars on a team, and I know that Tim Hardaway's playing really well for the Knicks this year. He's stepping up, and sometimes when you have Melo, you're right, it can hamper the development of Kristaps, and I think that that's really loosened everything up for the New York Knicks. Something that was interesting, newsworthy, is Baker Mayfield's going to be suspended for the first half against West Virginia. And do you think that, you know, his antics on the sideline against Kansas, do you really think that it's going to factor into GM's decisions, you know, as we look forward here to the upcoming draft?
Oh, is that a question for me? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. I think that, and I think it does. And it really, when you really look at Baker Mayfield or just any NFL prospect coming out, you want to see the intangibles of a lot of these NFL players. And, you know, sometimes when, you know, the stakes are high, tensions are high, you know, sometimes your emotions can get the best out of you. And NFL GMs don't want to see that, what Baker Mayfield's doing, obviously, because it looks bad. It's really bad for the media, really bad for your team and how you perceive yourself, you know, as a leader on the football team. And looking at that, it's just a very immature act of him to do that. He seems like a rinky-dink college kid. You know, it seems like he needs to mature more before he gets into the NFL. I know our buddy Jet Central would love to have him in New York, but at the same time, I don't think he's even ready for the New York media and the New York limelight for the way he acts. I mean, he would get eaten alive in New York, and especially if Baker Mayfield played bad in New York, oh, forget it. See you later, man. And just one of those things, I really think that GMs are going to look at this more intently for these prospects that come out, and I think it's very important how you build a football team. Really important.
I think so, but at the same time, I don't know if you saw last year, Shanko, the Clemson players, what they were doing to the Ohio State guys when they were on the ground. Do you remember that? Like what Ben Boulware was doing and like poking guys that were on the ground, and they didn't get suspended at all. I just feel like because Baker Mayfield's such like a high-profile name, like I think that kind of smack talk happens all the time. I didn't think it was a big deal whatsoever. Kansas didn't shake his hand. Kansas was playing dirty the entire game, and Mayfield was excited, and when you're exciting playing a sport, the adrenaline's going to get pumping, and that stuff happens a million times a game. It's just that Baker Mayfield's on camera a million times. I didn't think he needed to be suspended at all. Luckily, Will Greer's not playing for West Virginia. It isn't going to hurt them, but I personally didn't mind it whatsoever. You know, like I didn't think it was necessarily a big deal. You know, it's sort of like Grayson Allen tripping thing. But what do you think, Andrew? Did you see that at all?
I did not actually know.
All right. I think we got a couple of more minutes, guys. I think that this is going to be fun to watch back. It's a new forum. I'm excited now for some college basketball. College basketball season's right here. Thanksgiving hoops are really exciting, and I really appreciate everybody kind of tuning into the live stream. This technology is going to get even better. My sound, I'm going to be able to listen to myself without having an echo. Shanko got on Rhythm. Jet Central's Wi-Fi is going to update, and we just tried to throw something together last minute. But I really think that this could be the future, and then we can import clips, and we could just, put this podcast right online. Because last night, the quality of the podcast wasn't as crisp as this in terms of actually the picture, and also it takes a while to then upload a huge file to YouTube, and now you guys are going to be able to, our fans are going to be able to communicate live and ask questions and direct the podcast. So I think that you guys will even enjoy that more. So we'll see you guys, though. Shanko, thanks again for putting up with this, and take care, guys.